Christmas. Not quite. We're still not quite to Thanksgiving yet, but it is time. It's time to start talking about games, recommendations for Christmas. Welcome everyone to Harebrained Games. We're going to take some time today to talk about some of the games that might be of interest to you over Christmas as presents or as things you might want to add to your Christmas list or give to others for Christmas or even just play. Couple caveats. This is the family occasional gamers game list. There will be also an Avid and a hardcore video coming out soon as well. The key here is I picked games that are more modern than not. So if they are newer games, I gave them preference over lower, like previous games, because why not play a few new games? Why not? The other thing though is I tried very hard to find games that were, if but all possible, in stock. Didn't always meet that criteria, but for the most part, maybe we'll see some, maybe we'll not, maybe secondhand, whatever. Anyway, let's get to it. Here are the top family or occasional players games for 2023 for Christmas. First off, a new game's come out, and this is a little bit of an oddity, but if you get a chance to try it, if you and your spouse or your friend or anyone in the world that wants to join you wants to play a cooperative, fun, tension-filled game, I recommend Sky Team. Sky Team is a two-player specific game where you and your pilot or co-pilot are trying to land a plane. Now that sounds simple enough, except maybe not. You take turns rolling dice, and then you place these dice on locations, and each of you has to play your role or fulfill criteria in order to make sure that the plane lands level, that it lands at just the right time that it's descended, that it lands without running into other cars, that the landing gear's down, that the brakes are on, that the flaps are down. You know, it sounds pretty complicated, but you can get into a rhythm using the base match. But then it adds a bunch of different scenarios. You get different airports, all with different peculiarities as far as how you land the plane. You run into different situations where fuel consumption or other little added bonuses, wind, crosswinds, etc. It's very tense, very fun, cooperative two-player game that I recommend. Next, we have a classic that goes on, and that is The Crew, Mission Deep Sea. This game is 3 to 5 players. It is one of my favorite trick-taking games because it gives you little mini quests each round. Each round you're given objectives that you must meet. It's not as simple as your average, like we take tricks, it's the same game every time. No, you're given a little mission. Everybody has a little bit of a different win criteria, and everybody has to help everybody else to make sure that happens. There's about 50 missions, I think, and each one gets progressively more difficult. I find it never fails to titillate the crowd of people who like trick-taking games and just enjoy it. It's a lot for what it is. I hope to see maybe another revision of that in the coming years. They've already done the Deep Space one. They heavily improved it on Mission Deep Sea, and now they're on to hopefully another one, maybe Mission Inner Space or whatever. So anyway, next we have a game that's really been a mainstay and a staple that we play almost at every party, and that is Ready, Set, Bet. If you can get your hands on it, you're going to find a game that can play a lot of people in a very rapid, short amount of time. This is your classic betting on horses. It's in real time. And so as you are seeing the horses play out, you are placing bets in real time on spots with expectations of which horses are going to win, which aren't. There's enough going on here that you can feel like you have at least some way to make some money off of bets and side bets, etc. Very much recommend the app or use a tablet or something to use the automated one. I'm not as fond of it when one player has to be the guy running the horses, where all the other players play their bets, and so you won't find a more raucous occasion than some of these horse races. So recommend there. Another thing is another classic. It's been around it's probably one of the longer running ones, and that is Splender. Splender is such an easy game to get to the table and teach people to play. Rules are simple, and the idea is you're basically grabbing gems, and you use those gems to bet cards. Those cards give you automatic gems, and then over time you're getting more and more points. The idea is whoever gets to a certain amount of points first wins. It's so simple that it seems like it would be a dud, but it's not. It's just smooth and pleasant and enjoyable. And if you are playing two players, Splender Duel is a vastly superior version of Splender than two-player Splender itself. It adds a lot of variety, a lot of different things. It just bring to life a lot of the Splender feel, but with a lot of extra specific things you can do as a two-player game. So recommend that. Next, we have something that kind of came out of the blue that I really enjoy called Oh No Volcano. It's Pachinko with a point. In this game, you are climbing a mountain, and it's your job to get to the mountain, and you're going to collect gems along the way. You collect all the gems, you win. The key here is just the fun card play, where you get to move your character up the mountain, and then you have to drop marbles down in a Pachinko style. Whatever they run into and knock off, well, you got to start over. So, fun, frolicky, easy to play, recommended for folks. Okay, next we have Illiterati. Illiterati is a game, a peculiar game. In fact, it would almost fit to the avid rather than casual folks, but for some reason I just love it a lot. It is a crazy take on word building games, creating words. Now, if you're a solo player, Paperback Adventures, just go buy it. It is so cool of a word building game. You're literally fighting monsters using words and wordplay and special word abilities. That said, Illiterati has you contending against this evil conspiracy theory organization trying to knock out literacy among the globe, and so you fight back using the power of words and stuff. It's quirky, it's different, it's wild, but I really like it, and I think if you get a chance to grab a copy, you may like it too. Next we have an old but true Llama. Now, a lot of people don't like Llama that play a lot of board games because it is so very, very simple. It's just like a quick, light thinking Uno-ish kind of game. But we really, really like it as an icebreaker. It's easy to get people involved. The rules are literally 15 seconds, and you know what to do. And then you play, and there's a lot more. You can make at least a little bit of a strategy in trying to figure out who has the idea is to score the least amount of points. You score points by having cards at the end of a round when someone goes out and gets rid of all their cards. But you have opportunities to trade in like tokens and change the score. It's great. Llama or Llama Dice are both really good games to just throw people in and say, hey, we got about 5-10 minutes. Let's just play a couple games while the turkey melts. And then there's a Cascadia. Now, living up here in the Pacific Northwest, Cascadia, the vibe of the creatures and the forestry is just bliss. And this is a game with a lot of free-form just enjoyment to tile placing. You're placing terrains, and then you've got creatures on those terrains. You're trying to build combinations and like sequences and patterns for those to give you the most points. It's a delightful, relaxing, almost zen-like, evergreen in the forest kind of experience. I really, really like it. It has a lot going for it. There's a new expansion, Landmarks, out that provides even more fun. Its previous game, Calico, was much more tense in that you were trying to build a blanket in this rigid construct of a board. But the big thing is here in Cascadia, you're just spreading out. You get to go spread out and pretty much put your tiles anywhere. I mean, you can just lay them out, and that just gives a nice, pleasant feeling to the game. And finally, a newcomer in the mix is Monopoly Knockout. Now, most of you know I'm not a fan of Monopoly. I was not a fan of Monopoly before being not a fan of Monopoly was all the rage. I just never liked the game, but I do like variations of Monopoly. Monopoly Deal is a great card game. I've run tournaments for Monopoly Deal. Monopoly Knockout is a shuffleboard game where you are trying to move 4 pieces, each player up to 4, or you can play in teams, but it gets a little weird. Rolling your dice on you literally have a shuffleboard with properties and locations, and you're trying to flick your your tokens to land on different properties or land on free parking or boardwalk, park place, not land on jail, not land on luxury tax. It's a really fast, really fun 5 to 10 minute game that you can play and pull out, and everyone's going to have a good time. So those are the top games, I think, for the holidays that you may look into as something to buy for yourself, to put on someone's Christmas list, or even just to buy to have around for your Christmas parties or your Thanksgiving parties or whatever the holiday season's activities and festivities welcome you into their reaches. So there you go. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.